Okay, so this lesson we're looking at migration. Make sure you have answered the NCEA question on homing and the biozone pages and marked those biozone pages. With migration, before you move on to watching the rest of this video, I would suggest that you go and watch these 5 videos. They do take a wee while, but they're very, very good. So I would watch them first and then come back to this lesson video. So migration, you need to learn this definition by heart. They've asked before for this definition in NCEA exams, and if you don't give it properly, you miss out on the achieved mark. So it's a regular, intentional mass movement of animals from a breeding area to another area where they do not breed. Okay. So why do they do this? They move because the place they're moving to has got more food, more water, more space, more nesting sites. They know that there are going to be others there where they can breed, and the climate's possibly going to be better. And there are usually 2 ways that the animals know that it's time to move on and migrate. Either the day length changes, so they can tell that the daylight hours are getting shorter, or the temperature changes. Okay, and sometimes it's a combination of both. So how do they know? They've got an internal body clock that tells them, and these environmental cues signal something in their brain to say, rightio, time to go. And then how do they navigate? They navigate using visual cues, so landmarks, rivers, mountains, skyscrapers, and also magnetic orientation, so they can use the Earth's magnetic field. They can also use the sun as a compass, they can use the stars, and they can go by smell. Okay, so it's pretty clever really, and if you watch those videos, it will tell you a lot more detail and give you examples. You will get a question on this in the exam, so you do need to understand it. Excuse me. They're likely to ask you what the advantages and the disadvantages of migration are as well. They're likely to give you a scenario where you read information about an organism that you've never heard of, and you have to say, from the information that I've given you, you have to figure out what is it that's initiated them to migrate and why have they gone where they're going, and possibly how have they navigated to get there. So once you've watched these videos here, you can then go in and fill in the answers to these questions, and you can have a look and find out about these New Zealand examples. What triggers the migration is what you're looking for. How it navigates, and if you can, find a map of the route of the navigation. You don't need to know them off by heart. It is good to have at least one example in your head though, in case in the exam they ask for an example. Okay, so you need to fill in that table, and you need to look at what the advantages and disadvantages are of migration. And so I'm just going to put that in here as a question. What are the benefits of migration? It's kind of the adaptive advantage, so we'll leave that one out actually. What are the risks of migration? Okay, so here are the advantages, and that can go in here up under adaptive advantage. Better food means you're going to grow bigger. Moving to a new site means that you can reduce predation, you can reduce disease from parasites because you're leaving one site, moving on to another, especially if you think of like sea animals, seabirds that defecate all over the area. They can move to a nice clean area to put their nests and things in. Moving to a favourable temperature, they can colonise a new area, they've got a constant food supply. Don't affect this one here, they've got greater genetic mixing if animals are coming from all over the world to one place to get to mate. And also, don't get fixated on this, but this is one thing, is that the weaker ones are going to die on the way, so you're going to have genetically stronger organisms in the new place to breed. Okay, but that's only one small part of it. For some reason in the past, students get a bit fixated on that. So what are the disadvantages? It takes lots of energy, and so prior to migration, animals have to be eating a lot and storing a lot of food. Obviously they can get lost and die on the way, they get killed or eaten. Once they arrive, maybe it's changed. Maybe the area's been paved over for a car park. There's no food, there's no nesting sites, maybe climate change, the island's now underwater. They could run out of energy before they get there and die. And the young are often lost because they cannot get to the end or to the destination. Okay, so there are advantages and disadvantages. If there were only disadvantages, animals wouldn't do it. Okay, so there has to be an advantage, and there has to be an overriding advantage. Otherwise, they wouldn't be migrating large distances. So again, don't get fixated on the disadvantages. In the end, there has to be an advantage to doing it. Otherwise, the animals wouldn't be doing it. Okay. If we'd been in class, we would have done a couple of little practicals looking at navigating, but unfortunately we won't be doing those. So what you need to do now is fill in your table, fill in your answers here, answer these questions here. These are very similar to ones that you're going to get in the exams, so make sure you answer them all. Then you need to do Biozone pages 8 to 21. There's lots of little online activities that you can do, and then clicking here, there are lots and lots of NCEA questions you can do, and there are also some, if you go back up here into the collaboration space, there are some NCEA questions here on migration that you can do as a class, so you're not having to always do them on your own. You can see how other people are reading the questions and what they are writing about the questions. Okay, and again, if you've got questions and you need help, then please put them in the feedback box up the top, teacher feedback, and I will help you out. Okay, right, that's the end of that lesson.